Hello, peasants! So, welcome to my end of semester presentation. I did an internship this semester, which meant for me that I got to work on my own film for 2 months with a couple of animation professionals helping me on it. So when I decided to look for an internship, basically I contacted a bunch of people, and someone who responded to me were the people of the animation collective Papierboot Collective, which is based in Lucerne. So they invited me to have a coffee with them, and they told me, we don't really have anything to make you do at the moment, but something that you could do is come and work on your own film. So that sounded really good to me. And so that's what I decided to do.
So just to tell you a bit more about the people and the place where I did my internship. So my mentors were Delia Hess and Anja Sidler. We've seen some of their works in class, especially the ones from Delia. And I just cannot express just how lovely and supportive they were. I'm very, very grateful for just because they were always here to help me, to provide the stuff that I needed to answer my question and reassure me when I was not feeling great. And about the place where I did my internship, I spent a lot of time in this kind of weird rundown old building where the ateliers are. It's a very fun place to explore, and you just have a lot of extremely weird objects kind of everywhere.
The plan was that I was going to rework on my IDA from last year to kind of try and get a short stop motion animation film out of it. If you don't remember, last year what I did for my IDA is that I interviewed a sex worker, a sexual assistant, who is a person who works with the sexuality of disabled people. So the reason I decided to work with stop motion is because I liked the materiality of it. I liked the idea of doing an AniDoc by using very concrete materials to represent the story, because it allowed me to not be too representative, which is a trap that I think you can fall into with that kind of subject, especially when you're kind of talking about sex and that kind of things. But it also kind of allowed me to experiment kind of with materials, because then I could kind of play around with embroidery animation, for example, or thread animation. And for me, that was just a very fun idea, a very fun prospect to experiment with that. So I was going to be in charge of the process, which meant that I was going to be the one to kind of set up my whole schedule, decide when I wanted to do what, and what my deadlines were going to be. It has a lot of perks because it's very flexible, but at the same time you can imagine that it's also a bit of pressure, because then it means that if something is not done, it's completely my fault. So what I did with that is that I decided I was going to divide the semester between weeks and do kind of something similar to what we did last semester with the applied animation, where we dedicated every week or every couple of weeks to a different part of the process.
And so in that order, I started with the script. I did a French version and an English version. Basically what I did is that I retook my old interview and kind of re-edited it, picked the part that I thought were the most interesting and put all of that in the script. Then came a week of concept art / research, where I basically watched a lot of AniDoc to kind of observe the way they dealt with voiceover, as well as kind of picking mostly a lot of images from Pinterest of what I liked for the style and what I would want the movie to look like. And then I had a couple of storyboard weeks where I did 3 versions of the storyboard and had a conversation about them with my mentors. Then I had an animatic week, and then I started animating.
And what I did was that I was going to share my time between building props for the shots and filming the shots. So it was kind of this kind of balancing act of filming and building. And the reason I did this is that I honestly just wanted to start filming as soon as possible. so I would have stuff to show today. But also because it was important for me to like have time to practice, also just have time to like do stuff, create stuff, even if it's not perfect. I just wanted the stuff to start moving. So now I'm going to show you like an extract of the film. It's very much still in process, especially on the sound design department. But yeah, without further ado, just enjoy it, please.
Le premier client que j'ai eu, c'était un jeune homme. C'est la mère qui nous avait contactés. Elle avait attendu presque une année avant de prendre cette décision et elle pensait que cette année, il allait mourir. Il avait une sclérose en plaques, mais fulgurante. Il était déjà alité et il ne me parlait pas. Et une fois, pendant une session, il a eu un accident parce qu'il avait des couches, il n'avait pas encore de sonde. Donc voilà, quasiment il me pisse dessus. Je suis nue, donc c'est pas grave. Mais alors là, il éclate de rire. Mais c'est incroyable, non? Et moi je cherche quelque chose pour éponger. Et il me dit « Dans l'armoire, à droite !» Et moi je pensais qu'il savait pas parler. C'était la seule chose qu'il m'ait jamais dite. Je l'avais vu après encore. Notre relation était beaucoup plus détendue. On a commencé à écouter de la musique, parce que les soignants avaient mis quelque chose de smooth, de la soul, et lui il aimait Nirvana, donc on a changé ça.
So I've been animating for like 2 months now, and I still have like 1 month of animation. I don't think I will be finished by the end of June with the animation. However, they've been very nice and they told me that I could basically keep using that black box as long as I wanted. So I'm going to spend probably a good part of my summer there, still trying to get enough of my shots to like finish the film. At this point, my goal is to get the project to be finished. I think it would be very much a shame at this point if I just didn't. Even though it's not perfect, even though it very much looks like a student film, I think it's interesting enough to be shown, or at least to be finished, and so that's my goal. Honestly, it's just very fun for me to animate in that kind of like paper cutout stuff. I think it's just a very relatable style almost, because it's a kind of animation style that you look at and you know how it was made. You just know how the person like moved the pieces. You can imagine it, even if you don't really know a lot about animation, which I think is really something that's really just a very fun part of it. I think it also allows for way more mistakes than something like 2D does in general. It was also just very fun to like experiment with embroidery and thread and fabric and kind of see how stuff expressed themselves, even if they were not like technically perfect. I think it was just plain old fun, you know? So yeah, I still need to like work a lot on the sound design, like I said. I think I also will have like a lot of like color correcting to do. So yeah, that's kind of like what I did this semester, this whole little project. I also did a couple of other things this semester. One of them was the sound design for the movie Perfvogel. And that was pretty fun. I also like started a webcomic, which was my New Year's resolution, and it only took me 5 months to do it. So props to me. I'm going to try and leave some time at the end of the video if you have any questions, but yeah. Thank you for being here and thank you for watching. Have a nice day.